connecting the existing alumni database with LinkedIn, which is this, basically. And so this is the current year at the top. So it's more complete, but if I scroll quickly to the bottom, you can see, well, the 0 years are, but a lot of the early years have blanks. So basically the blanks are people that don't have their LinkedIn account, and the complete rows are people that we pull job titles, companies, information about the companies, locations they're in, and even photos. So big thing we talked about yesterday, we were kind of looking at this, let me get back here. So he also did a visualization and word cloud of some of that info, and then Google Doc, and also how to add, how to kind of get that missing LinkedIn data, because it's not just, so it's about, there are 25 people in the database, and about 50% of them, he got the LinkedIn profiles. And the other missing 50%, some of them don't have LinkedIn accounts. Some of them, it's just hard to find them. They might have changed their names, or there are just some other reasons, and that they actually do exist. And we just need more kind of hands to kind of scrape through. So we spent some time working on that yesterday, but we ran into some issues with it not actually connecting. So let me show you real quick. So this is an example of someone from my year that didn't have a LinkedIn account in his fields here, but he is in LinkedIn. But yeah, and Dan had shown us that you kind of do this to connect them, but that's not working for. It worked when he demoed it, but so we're investigating that. We emailed Dano, but he's away now. But that's something that we will kind of follow up on and continue with to keep trying to build that out. And part of the way to do that, we decided on a solution for that is to kind of comb through all that info, is to reach out to people from each year. So get kind of these year czars, assign people years to both manually go through, and then also to reach out to people they know, or to networks, connections they know, to kind of either get their existing LinkedIn, or get them to make it public, or get them to sign up for LinkedIn, or maybe get other information if they really don't want to get in on LinkedIn. And the other thing is we were thinking of other kind of redundant networks that we could connect to, like Facebook, to just get more info. If people aren't on LinkedIn, they might be on Facebook, or on in other countries. There are a lot of polls internationally, and to maybe connect to other social networks that aren't covered domestically. That aren't domestic. Okay, so that covers a lot of stuff we talked about as a group, and then I was going to show. So after that, we had a lot of data. So there's a ton of data here, which. Dan also made these feeds, which you can get to, these JSON feeds here, and I was just going to show quickly what I did with, so I set up this feed, which was kind of how many people are in each city, to kind of, just to get a general idea of where we're located around the world. So this is a JSON feed of all the 50% of the alumni, what cities and countries they're located in. And I did so we started out with a processing sketch of where we're located, which you can see. You can see basically it's, from here to it's New York, 910, San Francisco, 111, LA, 46, Boston, 26, DC, 22, Seattle, 20, and everything else is under 20. Lots of
percentage of LinkedIn users, it's like how popular LinkedIn.
Yeah, it's also, it's that too, yeah. Which is part of the reason we want to make the database more complete. So I did that in processing, and then set up a Java web page 2, which has a bit more kind of capability of kind of hovering over the different locations, and New York. And yeah, I was interested in just seeing this abstractly to see how kind of the alumni population kind of defines this strange kind of sense of the world and where we are around the world, or also where LinkedIn is around the world. Side part of that. But yeah, I like that it's kind of starts to shape the world. It's kind of a nice feel of our community that it starts to build the world. Especially the U.S. That's kind of the clearest. But then just to see the different kind of centers, even if they're small, they're so. Even I feel like a 6-person center is still pretty strong considering kind of the ITP community. So yeah, like Brazil, Rio, and Sao Paulo both have pretty strong, sizable populations. Israel, and then South Korea. There were some some people just have the country and not the city, so that's kind of other kind of stuff we could do with the data. But yeah, Japan to the east, and then kind of northwestern Europe, and then lots of U.S. and Canada. But so yeah, a little bit down here in Australia.
So the public profile only gives current city and current job, right? It doesn't give like past job.
Correct. Yeah.
This would be really interesting to see where people have lived versus live now.
Yeah.
Because we're so international, like one would be like 6 cities.
No, and that historical data would be great. And so yeah, the past cities would be harder to get, but I guess LinkedIn does have past employment. I'm not sure how easy that is to access in the API. I know Daniel said you ran into a lot of kind of, they obviously don't always give all the info you want because they want to keep some of that to themselves. Right. But that kind of gets to another one of the kind of issues we brought up is kind of what is the point of this data? And I feel like it has 2 really strong kind of uses, and one is kind of to build into the previous talk and maybe a couple of the subsequent talks is or presentations is community and how to connect to people, connect to other ITP communities around the world and ITP resources. But I think another big one, which I know Daniel is focused on a lot, and is part of my interest in it too, is kind of history of the department and kind of what it's been at different points, because this is something we could see where alumni from the 80s live versus where alumni from the 90s. And Daniel did something with job titles, which was really interesting in the word cloud, where like job titles of people from the 80s have like senior and director and founder and stuff like that more. And that's some really great institutional knowledge that could, from kind of curiosity standpoint, and also even more useful for someone like Daniel running the department and other people that are kind of making decisions. It could be interesting info to draw from to make decisions, and also I'm just interested in it. It's just kind of curious to learn about this. Yeah.
Community.
Where we're located and things like that.
So how do we move this over to the judges with our time constraints?
Does LinkedIn make their tag data available?
Not sure.
So my first year, one of the applications presentations was a list of everyone in our year, tagged with anything you wanted. Most of them were skills-based tags. Actually, I guess most of them were social tags. They were just fun. But then others were skill-based, and you could use that as a way to find out who among us who actually knew how to program. And that was very useful. I always thought that was the foundation of what a web-based ITP alumni directory would be. Something that lets you search, something that lets you inform the directory with your own knowledge about someone and your value of their reputation. Because that's really what we're doing when we email the list and say, hey, we're saying, hey, I know this person, they're good. And if you boil that down to a very simple web-based interaction, it's just a tag. I say, you know programming, or you know processing. And now all of a sudden, if someone needs someone who knows processing, you come up. If I need someone who's going to be in New York, that's another tag. And the tag data on LinkedIn isn't that rich. I don't like LinkedIn that much, but this is a good starting point. If you're able to populate something, it would be a very good starting point. It would really incentivize people to start using this. If you just had an empty directory and you said, hey, go add your stuff there, you'd get crickets.
That's kind of what we have already, and they've run into problems getting people to update it. People don't know where it is, how to log in.
Yeah.
And we talked about this too as a group. Like, we really need this kind of as a base before we make any other decisions, which all